guys, I'm here today with a review to Goblin Slayer Episode 1. And you know what, I'm not even gonna lie, I've been seeing kind of like, it's on and off. I've been seeing people have bad reviews on it, and then I've also seen people have great reviews. And honestly, to be 100 with you guys, I kind of enjoyed Goblin Slayer. Like, not even kind of, I did enjoy Goblin Slayer actually. Aside from the rape and, what went on, like the rape, because who wants to see rape and whatnot, but aside from that, I kind of liked it, and I liked the fact that, it was as serious as it is. And plus, like, the whole thing with Goblin Slayer, everyone knew this series would be brutal before it was even animated. People knew, because I was hearing from friends and whatnot, they said, oh, this series is no joke. Goblin Slayer, like, everything is crazy. Of course, I don't know if things were uncensored or not censored, depending on the manga or light novel, depending on how it's, being published. But from what I've seen this episode, all you see is blood, people getting killed, getting their heads bashed in and whatnot. Like, it's crazy. Not even people, goblins. I mean, I guess it is censored if you think about it, because there are scenes where goblins are killing, like, people, but you don't see them, like, killing or stabbing. All you see is, like, their shadow stabbing and blood dripping. I don't know if that's censored, like, if it's shown, like, people's bodies, their corpses and whatnot, them cut up and everything like that. But from what I've seen, like I said, I really enjoy it. We start the episode kind of with, like, a foreshadow. Like, we get a small bit where the MC, she's on her knees, like, she's scared, she's wounded, and she doesn't know what's going to happen to her. And we get stopped by this weird figure in armor. We don't know who it is. When I was watching that part, I thought it was like a goblin or something like that. I was like, is that a goblin here? I didn't know who it is. Which we eventually find out he is the Goblin Slayer. Now, what basically happens is the MC wants to be an adventurer. And because of that, like, as you know how these type of worlds go, where you want to be an adventurer, you can join guilds, there's like a whole board of quests and stuff that you can do. The MC is one of the lowest ranks of adventurers, basically the beginner, the rookie. And she meets up with these other adventurers who are the same level as her. They're all rookies, they're beginners, they have no experience, they have not been out in this world yet, like in this adventurer world, they have not faced any battles or anything like that. They could barely beat a slime, a level 1 creature. Like, they could barely beat that, you know what I mean? So they decide to fight goblins, like they should go save people who've been, kidnapped by goblins. Like, a lot of women have been kidnapped by goblins, a village was attacked. Now, honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, that is a good deed. But still, know your limit. That's my whole point towards this episode. Because you see, the thing that made me mad, while the MC is, like, learning this stuff about her rank and whatnot, there's a lady who's basically telling her all this information. And, like, she knows these kids, they're 15, they're young. That these people who have no whatsoever, like, experience are going to go hunt goblins. Even, like, I'm not gonna say she doesn't warn them. She does tell them, oh, maybe they should hold off until, like, a higher class individual comes so they can, join them, or they can handle the situation with the goblins and the kidnapped women. She tells them that, but still, I feel like she could have did more in her power to stop them from going and risking their lives at this, it's not even risking their lives, because they barely did anything. They just straight up died, and their life was destroyed right there. I feel like she could have did something, and honestly, like, to a point, it made me upset, because I'm watching and I'm like, yo, can you stop them? Like, why don't you stop them? Why don't you tell them what's at risk? And they go, like I said, worst goes to worst, we have a crew of 4, including the main character. So we meet 3 new characters and the main character. Throughout the episode, I don't even feel like I should get into them because they all die. Like, 2 characters die, and one of the characters is raped, one of the rape victims, and her life is completely destroyed. Like, as you see her towards the end, it looks like she's, she has nothing to live for. Her life is done. She will never adventure again. The one thing that got me, though, towards the end, like, it took me by surprise, the main character still wants to be an adventurer. Of course, it would make sense, you know what I mean? And it seems like she's going to be adventuring with the Goblin Slayer, which is pretty cool. Because you see, the Goblin Slayer, when we meet him, he's badass. He comes here, he's straight up next level, guts level, just slaying these goblins. Every time he kills one, he's counting them. He's like, that's 1, that's 2. And it's like he knows these methods. And you see, that's the difference between the Goblin Slayer and these kids. The Goblin Slayer knew what he was doing. He knew how to handle the situation. He was prepared for this. While on the other hand, these kids, they were unprepared. They didn't have healing potions or anything to help them. One of the main characters had this long sword that in the cave, he couldn't even attack. So the reason why he died is when he swung his sword, it hit the ceiling and bounced back, and the goblins just jumped on him and started stabbing him and killing him. So it's like, you see, they were unprepared. And I was thinking when they were going, I was like, why? What were they expecting to do? They knew nothing about the goblins. They were just, downgrading these goblins, calling them idiots and whatnot, saying like it's so easy to kill them. They're level 1. And although we learn like that these goblins, although they're not as wise, they're not dumb either. Because there's a scene where the MC, she pees on herself because she's so scared. And it's like, they smell it and they laugh at her. And you're like, wow, that's something. Like, they're literally laughing at this girl. They smell her piss and is laughing at her. That shows you, like, they're not stupid. They know certain things. They're not dumb, you know what I mean? And on the other hand, it was us who was stupid, because we go into this cave. We know nothing about the goblins. We know nothing about them. We don't know anything. We have no history. We're in this cave, and there's like a wall, like another doorway behind us. And this is a common mistake that rookies make. They keep walking straight without knowing that there's a door behind them. And the goblins, they get them from the back, so they're kind of pinched. Because you got goblins coming from the back, and then you got goblins from the front. So it was like we got pinched here. They came, they killed us, they destroyed them completely. Honestly, like I said, that pretty much sums it all up. The Goblin Slayer came out, he was pretty badass. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to handle the situation and all the things to do right. He was killing all the goblins. He was ruthless. He even killed the baby goblin. So, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of shows you, like, in this type of world or in this series, there's going to be a lot of gruesomeness going on. Although when it came to the baby goblins, like, killing them or not, it's like, I was kind of biased about, not even biased, I think I was halfway towards it. Because, you see, I feel like he shouldn't have, because maybe we could have had good goblins in this world if he hadn't killed them. But seeing how these goblins were and what he spoke of, like how he said, oh, we should kill these goblins because they multiply quickly and there's rarely any good ones. They learn, and by having these goblins live, they will learn from the ones that died and they'll be stronger. So they would learn and adapt and become worse enemies, in the future. So it's like, if you think about it in that term, I guess it was right for him to kill these goblins. Because what has been shown here is these goblins are ruthless monsters that they don't care and they kill everything. But you see, that one thing that I have in mind, like a question is, are we just going to mainly focus on goblins? Because you see, the thing with the series is when it first started, I heard all these, like, things being named. I heard like a demon lord, I heard about dragons and stuff like that. So is this only going to focus on goblins, like slaying goblins, and not the other creatures, and focusing on more different things in this world? I don't know. I mean, but I guess they could really go in with the goblins, because there was like a shaman who was basically leading all these goblins. That was pretty awesome. They even had this big goblin, like, who was just like the brute force. He was humongous, like my height. Alright, probably not my height, probably bigger than me. He was big and wide, and he was just straight up causing havoc, using people like hammers. So it was a pretty good episode, honestly. Like I said, if you're not into like that gory, gruesome stuff, this might not be for you. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't like too crazy with the gory gruesomeness. I mean, yeah, like the whole, like I said, the whole rape situation in this episode was like, I was like, wow, they really did that, you know what I mean? And I heard there's even more worse scenes to come in the future. So if that's not your cup of tea, then this series might not be for you. But honestly, I'm going to keep going with it and see how it goes and where it takes me, you know what I mean? I'm interested and I want to see more of the show and what it has to offer, honestly. Yeah. Thank you for watching. This is my review on Goblin Slayer. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode, and if you haven't, hopefully, this review, I guess, motivates you to watch it, or maybe not watch it. I don't know. Leave your comments down below, like what you thought on the episode as well, and peace out.